5 things that destroy relationships. Fear.
Fear in a relationship can be a major roadblock. It could prohibit that person, your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend, expressing their love, care, and concern for you. Especially if your fear is stems from past hurt. It can just put a halt to everything if you're questioning everything that's done, motives. It can destroy you, because then I believe that that person will eventually become frustrated with constantly having to reassure you that their intentions are good. And that can wear somebody down. It really can.
I really can. One of the things I feel like fear does in relationship is it doesn't allow you to take the risk that a relationship entails. Like, every relationship is a risk, and you can't participate. You can't play the game without it being a risk. And living in fear and walking in fear and being afraid of the potential hurts or the potential letdowns or the things that could be, doesn't allow you to actually fully throw yourself into the experience of trying to love someone. Like, love is something that is, I mean, one of the biggest risks you'll ever take, and it costs a lot to love someone. And so, just like when you're gambling on the lottery or anything else, if you don't put a ticket in, if you don't buy one, you have no chance of winning. So if you're afraid, you'll never make that investment. But if you really want to have the opportunity to experience what it really is and get all you want to get out of it, or that you would like to see out of it, you got to be able to take that risk. And if you're afraid, you'll never take the risk that it takes to actually try to fall in love.
You ever hear the phrase, do it afraid?
Yeah.
I think it's okay to have a certain level of fear, but that you don't give into that fear.
That's
And sometimes you just have to move forward afraid and let the other person's actions and your interactions within a relationship just slowly melt those fears away. Because there's been times that I just be like, eesh. But can breathe a sigh of relief, because I didn't give in to the fear reaction of putting up a wall or shutting down, but still moving forward in a relationship, but a little bit afraid. And bit by bit, you know, doing it afraid, it can work out in your favor, but don't give in to the fear.
There is no courage without fear. There's no courage without fear. If you're not a little bit afraid, then you can't do anything courageous, because it doesn't take courage to do things that you don't have any trepidation or worry or concern about. So in order to be courageous in love, then you can't allow that fear to be the driving force, but you can acknowledge it, you can identify it, you can point it out, you can say what it is, but even in the midst of all of that, being able to say, I know that I feel this way about it, but I also know that there's no way for me to get what I want to get out of this without going through it or, pushing past it. So I think being intentional about conquering fears is like a huge part of love and relationships. Like,
Absolutely.
everybody has things that they're afraid of. Everybody has things that they worry about. Everybody has things that concern them, especially when you're dealing with other people. Like, people are different. People have different things, different backgrounds, different quirks, different ways, all of that stuff. And when you're dealing with people, man, I understand that it can be intimidating. I understand that it can be painful sometimes. But you can't allow all of that to cultivate into a character, a nature, and a mindset of being afraid of actually putting yourself out there to love someone.
Yeah, it won't work.
It won't work.
So, what are some ways that fear can manifest?
It's all right.
What are some ways that fear can manifest itself within a relationship?
I think fear can manifest itself through someone's inability to be vulnerable. For one, I think fear shows up in people's, ways, how they open up and how much they share about themselves and how willing they are to put themselves in a position where they're either codependent on someone or put themselves in a position where they put themselves out there and to, risk being hurt or risk being, rejected or turned away or something like that. So I think it can show up in that way. I think fear also can show up in a person's limitations. I think that people are limited sometimes by their inability to get past some of their fears. So they don't have the capability or the capacity to go to a certain degree or do certain things because they're afraid. They're afraid of what it may take. They're afraid of what it may cost. They're afraid of what it may feel like. Even good things sometimes. It's not always bad stuff. Like some people are genuinely afraid of good things happening to them in life. People walk around all day, every day, concerned and worried and like, you know what I'm saying? Living in fear of what if this actually goes right? Like, what if this is actually successful? Then what? Like, what if this goes this and now it really is real? That kind of thing. So I think fear can definitely step in and manifest itself in a myriad of ways.